147 trials, 147 wins, 0 losses. Everyone quotes that stat like it ends the conversation. It doesn't. Harvey handled thousands of cases.
Thank you. Don't go to trial if you're not going to win.
Only 147 ever made it to a courtroom. Everything else got settled, buried, or killed before a judge was ever involved. So is 147 to 0 proof he's the best lawyer in the show? Or proof he's just the best at making sure he's never actually tested? That one question is this whole video. 4 people deserve this conversation: Litt, Mike Ross, Jessica Pearson, and Harvey Specter. Each one wins a different category, and Harvey isn't the obvious winner of any of them, which is exactly why the ending isn't what you think. Start with Lewis.
Nobody messes with Litt.
The show treats him as comic relief for 6 seasons, but strip the jokes away, and he's the scariest lawyer in the building. He runs the entire corporate department solo while everyone else chases headline deals. He's the one who finds the buried clause on page 40 that nobody else even reread. More than once, it's Lewis, not Harvey, not Jessica, who catches the detail that stops a lawsuit from ending the firm. He's the only named partner whose reputation is built on documents, not charisma. If best lawyer means technical mastery, the unglamorous skill no highlight reel ever shows, Lewis has a real claim nobody bothers making. Then there's Mike Ross, who breaks the question just by existing. No law school, not one semester. A photographic memory let him absorb the bar exam and case law out of boredom. And from day one, he's outperforming Harvard-trained associates twice his age.
Got anything to say, Ross?
Nope, just that the answer is wrong. She graduated from Columbia after she attended Harvard for 2 years.
The show spends years worrying about whether he'll get caught and almost never sits with how absurd the premise actually is. A man with 0 formal training consistently beating people who paid 6 figures to become what he already was for free. If raw legal instinct, reading a case and finding the angle nobody else sees, is the measuring stick, Mike's claim might be the strongest in the building. The catch: best lawyer assumes he's a lawyer, and for most of the show, he legally isn't. Then the one everyone forgets, Jessica Pearson. While Harvey charms a conference room and Lewis drowns in a contract, Jessica is the one actually keeping the firm alive through mergers, hostile takeovers, and a managing partner trying to extort his way back into power. She hired Mike knowing the risk.
I knew.
Covered for it for years, and outmaneuvered far more senior people to make name partner in an industry that wasn't built for a black woman in the 1990s.
Well, you know what they say. True beauty is ageless.
Crack.
If best lawyer means understanding power and keeping an entire firm standing through crisis after crisis, her resume runs deeper than Harvey's. She does it without a single courtroom stat to point to, which is exactly why nobody builds a highlight reel around her. There's no scoreboard for "the firm didn't collapse this week because of me." She just never gets the hero shot because the show was never about her. And Rachel Zane. For most of the show, she's not even a licensed attorney, which on paper makes her case weaker than Mike's. But watch what happens once she's allowed out of the background. She studies for the bar while working full days, gets rejected, gets back up, passes it, and is already running cases the named partners take credit for. Her read on people in a negotiation is sharper than Harvey's in the early seasons.
I want to raise
3%.
10%.
She can clock a lying witness before anyone else in the room does. She never gets the spotlight because her arc is about becoming a lawyer rather than already being one. But by the time she is one, she's operating at a level that took everyone else a decade. Precision in Lewis, instinct in Mike, command in Jessica, a read on people in Rachel, 4 different definitions of best, 4 different lawyers. And notice who hasn't won a single category yet. Harvey. That's not an accident. That's the actual shape of this question. Most takes on this topic stop at the stat: 147 to 0, case closed, roll credits, without asking the obvious follow-up. How does a defense attorney handle thousands of cases and only let 147 of them ever reach a courtroom? Think about what that number actually protects. A perfect trial record doesn't require being the best lawyer alive. It requires controlling situations so completely that almost nothing reaches a room where losing is even possible. A lawyer who settles or negotiates his way out of nearly everything and only goes to trial once he already knows he'll win isn't necessarily the most skilled person around. He might just be the most selective about which fights ever go public. There's a version of this argument where 147-0 isn't greatness. It's risk aversion wearing a legend's clothes. Other lawyers in this show take cases they might lose because the client needs them to try anyway. For most of his career, Harvey doesn't. And the number doesn't just protect him in court, it works before he ever gets there. Opposing counsel hears 147-0 and starts negotiating against a ghost instead of a person, folding on terms they'd never fold on otherwise just to avoid being the case that breaks the streak. That's the real function of the stat. It's not a scoreboard. It's a weapon that wins cases nobody ever sees by making the other side too scared to show up. What almost nobody brings up is velocity data solutions. Harvey takes a case against velocity and loses it on purpose.
Let's just say velocity is bad news.
He throws it deliberately, knowing exactly what it would do to his record, because losing was the only way to force the other side's hand and pull Mike Ross out of legal trouble that was about to bury him. Jessica nearly pulls him off the case the second she realizes what he's doing. Lewis finds out and explodes, accusing him of torching the firm's reputation for one person. Harvey doesn't deny it. He doesn't defend it. He just lets the loss stand. Sit with that for a second. This is a character whose entire mythology, inside the show and out, runs on an unbroken record. That number isn't just a stat for Harvey, it's identity. It's the thing opponents quoted him before he opens his mouth, and he burns it, voluntarily. Not because he got outplayed, not because the case was unwinnable, but because one person mattered to him more than the single most defining number of his career. That's the actual answer to who the best lawyer in this show is. Not because Harvey has the cleanest record, but because he's the only one of the four willing to destroy his own legend on purpose, the moment the law and the person in front of him pull in different directions. What almost nobody brings up is why none of the other three could have made that same move. Lewis would never burn his reputation like that. His whole identity is built on finally being respected after decades of being dismissed, and that respect is too hard won to torch voluntarily. For Lewis, a lost case isn't a sacrifice, it's proof everyone was right about him all along. Jessica calculates outcomes for the firm first. A deliberate loss like that is exactly the kind of move she'd try to block, which is literally what she does the second she finds out, because to her, it doesn't read as noble, it reads as reckless. Mike isn't even in a position to make that sacrifice himself. He's the one being protected, not the one doing the protecting. And a man with no license to lose has nothing to throw away in the first place. And Rachel never gets put in a position to choose between her own legacy and someone else's freedom, because by the time she's senior enough to face that choice, her arc is already wrapping up. The show simply runs out of time to test her the way it tests Harvey. What makes Harvey's case strongest isn't 147-0. It's that he's the only lawyer in the building who treats the record as disposable the moment it conflicts with what he thinks justice actually requires for someone he cares about. Technical excellence, like Lewis, is one kind of mastery. Strategic command, like Jessica, is another. Raw, natural gift with zero training, like Mike, is its own category. Reading people better than anyone in the room, like Rachel, is a skill most lawyers never develop. But being willing to dismantle the one thing your entire reputation is built on in a single decision, with no guarantee it works and full knowledge of how the firm will react, is a different category of skill entirely. That's not legal ability. That's judgment under maximum stakes, which is the real job description hiding behind best lawyer. What almost nobody brings up is the second time he does it. Harvey's resignation in the back half of the series, forced by financier Charles Forsman, is one of the only moments where Harvey is flat out outmaneuvered, boxed into a corner he can't talk his way out of. Forsman isn't a courtroom opponent. He's a deal maker who wins with leverage, not legal argument. And for once, Harvey has no clever line to escape it. He loses, publicly, in front of every partner who spent years watching him win. He doesn't spiral. He doesn't manufacture a comeback narrative for the room. He absorbs it and rebuilds, the same way he absorbed the velocity loss without ever spinning it into something more flattering afterward. A character built only to protect a flawless image would have needed to control that story immediately, to leak a version where he's the one who walked away on his own terms. Harvey never bothers. He just lets it sit there as a loss, because he was never actually optimizing for the stat. He just let everyone else believe he was. What almost nobody brings up is what best lawyer is even supposed to mean once you strip the scoreboard away. Every other definition in this debate is about output: wins, saves, instincts, reads. Harvey's is about input, what he's willing to risk and for whom when the record itself is on the table. That's a harder thing to measure and a much rarer thing to find, which is exactly why it gets buried under a stat simple enough to put on a poster. So 147-0 was never the wrong stat, exactly. It's just been pointing at the wrong evidence the whole time. A perfect trial record built on avoiding trials isn't what makes Harvey the best lawyer in this show. The one time he deliberately let himself lose, when losing mattered more than winning, is what makes him the best lawyer in this show. Louis has the precision, Jessica has the command, Mike has the instinct nobody can teach, Rachel has the read on people that took everyone else a decade. But Harvey is the only one of the four who proved it on screen, in one irreversible decision. He understood the difference between winning a case and doing the right thing, and chose the second one even though it cost him the single thing his identity was built on. So now you've got the real case: Louis' precision, Jessica's command, Mike's instinct, Rachel's read on people, and Harvey's willingness to burn his own legend for one client who mattered more than the number. Who actually earns the title? Drop the lawyer you'd hire if your freedom was on the line, and subscribe if you want more breakdowns that go past the surface level version of a show everyone thinks they already know.